What's up, Knights, and welcome back to The Table. Today's video is going to be another venture into the world of anime. You guys seem to really like the DBZ video we did on the channel, so on that note, here's everything you need to know before you watch Season 6 of My Hero Academia. First, I'll recap the highlights of the first 5 seasons, and then I'll discuss some of what we can expect to see in Season 6. I'll stick to covering the arcs that I think are the most important to keep this video shorter, but let me know down in the comments below if I missed anything important. If you haven't seen MHA before and are here just checking things out, I want to issue a spoiler warning. I obviously can't catch people up to where we are at in the anime without spoiling a few things. So if you don't mind that, feel free to keep watching, and if you have seen the first 5 seasons of MHA, but the details are maybe a little hazy, not to worry, I've got you covered. For those who don't know, My Hero Academia is what happens when you take Harry Potter, mix it with the Avengers, and saturate it with a stunning animation. In the world of MHA, 80% of the population has a special ability or quirk. These quirks have a wide range of diversity and usefulness. Some are admittedly pretty lame, but I will give MHA props for creativity and originality. So those who have quirks can go to different hero schools to learn to be heroes and hone their use of their quirks, and of course, wherever you have heroes, you've got villains. All Might is the show's #1 hero at the start and has the quirk One for All. This quirk at first just seems like your basic speed, strength, durability, and overall awesomeness, but gets more and more complex as the show goes on. We're introduced to our main character, Izuku Midoriya, who is quirkless in a quirky world. This alienates him from his fellow peers and is ultimately what drives him to work so hard. Cue the shot of the empty swing from Naruto. All jokes aside, it's Midoriya's lack of a quirk that makes him the perfect candidate for All Might to pass his power down to. All Might needs a successor due to a severe injury that limits his abilities, and he finds it in Izuku Midoriya. MHA sets this world up beautifully in the anime. We get the premise within the first couple of episodes, and we're ready to dive into the story. Okay, now that we've set the stage for the basic premise of the show, let's get into the arcs that stood out the most. Firstly, we have the entrance exam arc. This arc is all about showing off your quirk to be accepted into the Hero Academy. We meet a lot of the characters here and begin to world build for the show moving forward. This arc stands out because it really points us in the direction the show is going to forge forward into. Midoriya is subjected to ridicule and prejudice due to his apparent lack of a quirk. Midoriya has to push through the adversity and show just how strong his will is. That's definitely a common theme and something I love about anime. Oftentimes we find the characters up against impossible odds and they find a way to break through and win the day. It's a great life lesson on keeping strong through tough times. Thanks to his performance in the exams, Midoriya is accepted into the UA Academy and becomes a member of Class 1A. Soon after his enrollment, Midoriya and his fellow classmates travel to the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ for short. The USJ was created to simulate different natural disasters in order to train the young heroes how to implement teamwork and planning to minimize casualties and save civilians. All seems well until out of a portal steps a menacing figure and his companion. Enter the League of Villains. The show does such a great job of showing the weight of this moment. These young heroes have just begun their hero training and they are not ready to face a foe, such as the League of Villains. I remember the adrenaline I felt in this scene. How are these young heroes going to survive this encounter? They're not ready for this. Luckily, the homeroom teacher, Shoto Aizawa, was there, and Pro Hero 13. They do a really good job of fending off the enemies for a while, but ultimately end up getting badly injured. That's when All Might shows up and saves the day, as he so often has done in the past. All Might has a fight with a creature named Nomu. This creature is a grotesque creation and is seemingly unstoppable. However, seemingly unstoppable is All Might's specialty. The USJ attack arc really brings the villains of the show into the limelight and points us towards a common theme for Class 1A moving forward. The class of aspiring heroes often clashes with villains and gets put in scenarios that they are really over their heads, but they somehow manage to make it through. Next up is the Sports Festival arc. This arc is a lot of people's favorite arc in the show and has a fight in it that is a lot of people's favorite fight. Now the 1A classmates get an opportunity to showcase their skills and abilities by fighting one another. There's a lot of really good character development in this arc, and the writing really shines here. The fight I really want to focus on is the fight between Izuku Midoriya and Shoto Todoroki. Shoto Todoroki is my favorite character in MHA. I know that's not exactly a hot take, but whatever, it's the truth. Todoroki is best boy. His ability to use both ice and fire at the same time is incredibly powerful. The thing is, due to some, childhood abuse from his father, who is also a flame power user, Todoroki doesn't use his fire powers. So up until this battle with Midoriya, he's only fighting at 50% strength. During their fight, Midoriya delivers an excellent speech that spurs Todoroki to actually use his fire ability. Midoriya challenges Todoroki to not allow his father's actions to dictate his choices. It's honestly a really moving moment. Sometimes anime just hits you in the feels in a really good way. I'm not crying, you're crying. Anyways, the animation for this battle is absolutely beautiful, but honestly that could be said for all of MHA. The studio knocks it out of the park when it comes to the animation. The hero killer arc is where the show starts to blur the lines between hero and villain. We are introduced to an anti-hero named Stain, or the hero killer. Side note, I do really love how this show tends to be straightforward with a lot of its names like Hero Killer and Eraserhead. Stain does exactly what his name says. He tracks down different heroes and decides if they are worthy or not, and if he deems them unworthy, he kills them. Sometimes he just injures them really badly, but usually he just kills them. This arc does not shy away from the darkness of its theme at all. We get a deeper look at Class 1A student Tenya Ida, whose brother was badly injured by Stain. Ida is out for revenge, but he is no match for Stain. After being defeated easily, it looked like all was lost for Ida until Midoriya and Todoroki showed up. They barely defeat the hero killer, but his legacy will go on. Stain's motivations and conviction garner him a lot of followers. His vision gains a cult-like following and drives a lot of villains forward. The leader of the League of Villains, Tomura Shigaraki, uses his newfound inspiration to recruit new members to his team. Stain's contribution to the plot of the show is integral. We are also introduced to more Nomo creatures in this arc as we watch them face off against pro heroes. With the resurgence of villainy, the League of Villains has now become a threat that needed to be addressed. Hence, the League of Villains Hideout Raid arc ensues. This arc follows after the students of 1A were off minding their own business in a forest training when the League of Villains attacked them in an attempt to kidnap students they thought they could turn to the dark side of the force. They end up capturing Katsuki Bakugo, the other main character. I've somehow failed to mention up until this point. He's Midoriya's childhood friend who's actually always a jerk to Midoriya and always mad. Think Sasuke or Vegeta. Shigaraki tries to convince Bakugo to join his crew, and honestly, I wasn't sure what Bakugo would do. He's always so angry, violent, and blowing things up without really worrying about the consequences, so I could have seen it going either way. Thankfully, Bakugo laughs at Shigaraki's proposal, and Explosion punches him in the face. At this point, a group of pro heroes and sidekicks show up to fight the villains and save Bakugo. Just as the villains were about to taste defeat, the show throws a twist at us that no one saw coming. All Might has thus far throughout the show gotten weaker and weaker. He's unable to use his one-for-all quirk for extended periods of time, and it is revealed that this is due to an injury he sustained in a battle with his greatest foe, All For One. Guys, this appearance of All For One literally had the collective fanbase's jaws on the floor. All Might finds the strength to defeat his longtime nemesis and once again shows us the true power of perseverance. Unfortunately, due to the intensity of this battle, All Might had to officially retire as a hero. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. We love making content for you guys, and if you like what you see, please, for me, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ding the bell so you don't miss out on any of our future content. We are so close to 1,000 subs. Let's push past that milestone together. Also, check us out on our other socials. We kind of neglect those sometimes, so we'll post those here in the description. Next, we have the arc that contains the greatest anime fight of all time. Okay, that's a bold statement, but it is an incredible fight and arc in general. The Overhaul arc introduces us to a villain by the name of Overhaul and his mob-like organization of villains. Overhaul wants to create a weapon that can be fired at individuals and take away their quirks. He succeeds in creating a finite amount of these magic bullets, I believe it was 6 of them, and plans to use them to take out the strongest heroes to ensure his organization's dominance. He accomplishes this by utilizing the quirk of a young girl named Eri, who has a quirk called Rewind. Basically, it lets her rewind someone she's in physical contact with. She can rewind injuries, de-age people, or even rewind people back out of existence. MHA takes us to an even darker, more real place in this arc. Overhaul's quirk to disassemble people and objects he touches is brutal and violent. Shigaraki tries to ally with Overhaul, but Overhaul is not interested and shamelessly murders one of the League's members. Eventually, a raid of Overhaul's base is planned and carried out. There are so many great characters and great battles to talk about, but I must be brief for time's sake. Midoriya fights and defeats Overhaul with the help of Eri, who continuously heals him while they fight. Before I move on, it's important to mention that UA High's #1 student, Mirio Togata, got hit with one of Overhaul's quirk-taking bullets and lost his quirk. He was the most promising student in all of UA Academy, so him now being quirkless is sure to be explored more in the future. Also, Shigaraki shows up to hijack the prison convoy of Overhaul. He Obi-Wan Kenobi's Overhaul's arms off so he can't use his quirk ever again, and steals the remaining quirk-removing bullets. After the weight of the Overhaul arc, a lighter air was needed to follow it up. My hero does this brilliantly with the school festival arc. Despite all the dangers around them, the school decides it should still hold its school festival to boost morale, on the condition that it would be swiftly cancelled if any villainy were to happen. The villain Gentle Criminal and his sidekick La Breva are introduced here. Gentle is a very interesting villain. When he was young, he really wanted to be a hero, but due to flaws in the system, he didn't make it. So feeling scorned, he decided to do what any rejected and ignored person would do, and he started a YouTube channel. Gentle Criminal, although technically a villain, is good at heart and shows us how even good-hearted people can go down the wrong path if mistreated. This arc was a welcomed lighter tone, but still brought up interesting points. The Pro Hero arc is short but very impactful. The retirement of All Might meant that there was a big hole to fill for the #1 hero spot. You see, MHA has a ranking system for their heroes, and for a long time, All Might was the undisputed #1 hero. The #2 hero was none other than Todoroki's crappy dad, the flame-wielding Endeavor. Endeavor is a complicated character. Up until this point in the show, we only see him as a bad father, terrible friend, and all-around jerk. But this arc shows us another side of Endeavor as he tries to fill the shoes of his now retired rival, All Might. We see Endeavor meet up with fellow top-rank pro hero Hawks and work on his people skills. The arc builds up to a fight between Endeavor and a new high-end Nomu, who pushes Endeavor to his absolute limits. The hero eventually pushes past those limits and defeats the high-end Nomu, and you can't help but cheer for the guy as he raises his fist to the sky at the battle's conclusion. This arc points out that people like Endeavor are complicated. On the surface, they may appear a certain way, but are always more complex than that. We did it. We made it to the final arc I want to talk about before we watch Season 6 of MHA. Season 5 was a mess. For some reason, the studio decided to do some wonky timeline stuff that ultimately made things confusing and hard to discern character motivations. However, the Meta Liberation Army arc puts the villains in the main character role brilliantly. We finally get a deep look into Shigaraki and his motivations. We watch him grow as a villain throughout the show, moving from an impulsive child to a cool, calculated villain. The League of Villains is put to the test when they are forced to fight Giganto Machina and the Meta Liberation Army. This time it's the villains who get to shine and reach new heights. Shigaraki is able to do this best, and ultimately gains the respect of the whole Meta Liberation Army as they pledge their loyalty to him. With Shigaraki as their new leader, pro hero Hawks attempts to infiltrate the Meta Liberation Army as a double agent. The end of this arc teases Shigaraki attaining a power even greater than All for One's power. What a terrifying notion. I am so excited for Season 6 of My Hero Academia, as we know that they will explore the war arc. Our heroes and villains alike are sure to take leaps and bounds forward as they clash on the battlefront of war. The series is sure to explore the tragedy and seriousness of war, but also the resolve and duty to fight for what is right. The stakes have never been higher, so grab your popcorn, throw on your favorite anime t-shirt, and prepare to enjoy Season 6 of My Hero Academia. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I know I missed a lot of details from the show, but I hope that this was a good overarching view of what happened so far in MHA leading up to Season 6. What are your favorite arcs? Did I miss any arcs that definitely should have been included here? Let me know down in the comments below, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to the page so we can finally go plus ultra past 1,000 subscribers. See you.